You know what I haven't done for a while? Bitch about YouTube. Hey folks, so I am going to be kind of complaining about YouTube, but this one's going to be a little bit of a trip, a little bit of a journey, because we got to kind of talk about some of the weird quirks of YouTube and the ways in which YouTube attempts to emulate other platforms, usually by doing what other platforms do, either precisely or almost precisely, but worse. So let's first acknowledge, yes, this is my living. I'm biting the hand that feeds me. That hand is currently also smacking me mildly across the face, so I'm gonna bite at it just a little bit. How is it smacking me? I'll get there. I will get there. Stick with me. Ultimately, where I'm going is I'm going to be talking about the shorts format. But like I said, we've got a little bit of a journey to get there. Now, when it comes to streaming video content, YouTube is monolithic. It's practically a monopoly when it comes to free to upload user-made content. Obviously, there are other streaming services out there, but they have their own unique IPs: Disney Plus, Netflix, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, etc., etc., etc. When it comes to the users create the content, YouTube is the biggest game in town, no question. But that's for long form. There are other things out there that have kind of taken over and dominated short form in various ways. Initially, there were things like Snapchat, and then Instagram instituted its stories function, and then YouTube instituted its stories function, where short videos get uploaded for a certain amount of time and then go away. They just copy-pasted that off of other people who were doing it. The shorts function is more recent and appears to largely be aped from TikTok. But I just want to talk in general about some of the ways in which YouTube's algorithm does and doesn't work. The first thing we need to acknowledge before saying anything about the algorithm is it is changing. It is always changing, and it actually kind of has to. As annoying as it is for creators to not know what is going to be favored in the algorithm next week and barely know what's favored in it now, that's actually kind of necessary. Pretty much any time somebody figures out the algorithm, they then begin to game the system. And that's what can result in things like that period a few years ago where these bizarre children's videos of like these really poorly rendered CGI things of like a pregnant Elsa and Spider-Man were just dancing around with the Joker. It was some weird stuff, and that happened because it was gaming the way the algorithm was set up at the time. Dan Olson at Folding Ideas did a pretty good video breakdown of that specifically, if you don't remember that happening. But that's one way in which the algorithm can fail, because once anybody figures out how's it currently working, what's it favoring, well, like I said, they're going to game the system. That can also result in unintended consequences sometimes. YouTube has a very big gaming scene, and actually it used to even be bigger than it currently is. Part of the reason for that was Let's Plays and long plays, in particular of things like Minecraft, started coming in at the same time that the algorithm was reconfigured to give more favoritism to longer form videos that people watched as much as possible at a chunk. And long play video game footage, yeah, that really lends itself to that. YouTube had wanted gaming to become one of the biggest things on the platform, but it became that anyway just because of the timing. And the timing can also benefit some really shady things because the types of videos made by, say, flat earthers happen to coincide with the types of content in terms of general structure that YouTube wanted at the time. This is one of many reasons why flat earth is not quite as popular as it used to be. The algorithm was changed and doesn't favor these things anymore. But why am I even bringing up the algorithm? Well, the algorithm ultimately, what it is trying to do, although it shifts in terms of what it prioritizes, views versus lengths versus a number of interactions, etc., 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 ultimately what the algorithm is intending to do is to put content in front of the people who who will want to watch it and will therefore watch any given video the longest. That is the point of the algorithm. And sometimes the algorithm smiles on you. It's actually arguable whether it's ever really smiled on me. I've done okay. I mean, I've done well enough for this to be my living, but that's taken 10 years. And also, I've never properly gone viral. Like, nearly every other YouTuber I know of anywhere near my size, or anyone who I know is doing this professionally, has had at least one video go properly viral, like million views or up. I've never even come close to that. But I'm not really here to bitch about the algorithm. The reason I bring up the algorithm is because we need to talk about shorts. As I said, we were going to get there. Now, the shorts format basically just is TikTok. At least it wants to be. Its default is vertical. It's a minute or shorter. Basically, it's trying to stop the siphoning off of short form video comment to TikTok. And the intention of the shorts format was to try and claw some of that back. Basically, YouTube, with the implementation of things like stories, shorts, they want people to stay on YouTube for as much as possible. They want basically what Facebook had a little while back, which was that there was a time, and in some parts of the world, this is actually still the case, but at least for a time there was in America, you got so much stuff off of Facebook. You know, you had your friends' feeds, but you also got your local news. You would check the national news. You'd check fandom spaces. You'd check the Facebook pages for businesses. You may or may not do your actual shopping off of Facebook, but you would get ads and get directed to places to then go do shopping. It all filtered through Facebook. YouTube, as popular as it is for user-uploaded content, for other things related to it, other bits of video content, shorter things, people were getting them elsewhere. Instagram stories, TikTok. YouTube would rather you stay here and get that same kind of content on YouTube as well, so that you stay here. Now, since Shorts is kind of attempting to be their answer to TikTok, and ironically, TikTok now seems to be trying to muscle in on YouTube's territory by allowing for the upload of videos up to 10 minutes long, although it still defaults to vertical, and trying to edit something for vertical and upload, like, it's not ideal. TikTok's a long way off for being like the go-to place to do something long form, but they're now both trying to muscle in on their territory. But to focus on TikTok for a minute, while I would say I've never really properly gone viral on YouTube, I have several times gone properly viral on TikTok. Not on my current account, my account that was actually obliterated. Here's the thing about going viral. It kind of sucks. Like, legitimately. If you're on TikTok, you already know this phrase. If you're not, I'll explain what this is. But sometimes you'll hear people talking about, I'm on the wrong side of TikTok, or my video went up on the wrong side of TikTok. Now, what is meant by that is the different sides of TikTok, which a lot of which have cute little names, you know, Buy Talk, Witch Talk, Craft Talk, etc., 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 all sorts of stuff. When the algorithm is working well, and honestly, TikTok's algorithm is pretty good at funneling to you the kinds of stuff that you have shown an interest in and are enjoying. It's so good that the times that it fails really jump out to you. But here's the thing. When people say I'm on the wrong side of TikTok, or my video showed up on the wrong side of TikTok, what that means is something is showing up not for its intended audience, but for people who maybe don't want to see it. People who are responding harshly to it. So when I say I've gone viral, as I said, that happened a number of times. And most of the time, I would say, if I can think back, I'd say I went properly viral on TikTok on my original account 6 times. And 5 out of those 6 were a nightmare. Because what happens when you go viral is the video does so well for whatever reason, but it does so well that the algorithm goes, oh, this is doing so well that we're going to take it beyond just the people that this is originally intended for in the algorithm. We're going to show it to more people. We're going to spread it further because it's connecting with people, clearly. But here's one of the things about TikTok, and this is also true of YouTube. Any interaction is engagement. And it does not matter if that engagement is positive or negative. So what would happen when my stuff would go viral on TikTok? And as I said, sometimes it would be because it was already doing really well, and then it would just be posted to a wider array of stuff on TikTok. Sometimes it would just be grabbed by somebody somewhere, possibly accidentally, and it would just show up in their feed. But then somebody who it wasn't meant for, who would look at me and insult me or threaten me, would not only do that in my comments, they would then share it with other people and saying stuff like, I had to see this, therefore you do too. And basically it becomes a loop that spreads me out further and further into the side of TikTok I don't want to be in. Because again, any interaction is engagement. So the fact that these people, while they are being incredibly nasty and I would have to block them en masse, there were days where I would spend literally hours of my day blocking people off my account because of the harassment and the cruelty, and just the sense that they had no interest in me or they thought I was gross. Which, you know what? You can think whatever the hell you want. I don't care. But I shouldn't have to deal with you clogging up my comment feed. Just hit not interested and move on. But they interact with it, and then the algorithm pushes it to more people like them as they continue to tag other people like them, and it becomes a spiraling nightmare. So why am I talking about TikTok in relation to YouTube Shorts? Well, as I said, YouTube Shorts is YouTube's attempt to ape TikTok's approach and type of content. Again, not completely, but relatively close. And it's very clearly working off a different algorithm than the main videos are, which also makes sense. The people that you would push the shorts to, maybe that's a wider range. You may have noticed on YouTube that you have a feed for shorts that is completely separate from something like your subscription feeds or your recommendations. It's being handled separately, and they've clearly modeled the algorithm off of how TikTok does the algorithm. Here's the reason all of this is on my mind. For the past few months, I had been noticing a lot of very nasty comments. And look, I get nasty comments on a daily basis. That's been happening for a very long time. But I noticed an uptick, and specifically, it was on my shorts. The things that were getting the most dislikes, which only I'm aware of because they took visibility off the dislike button. And again, a dislike still counts as engagement. So as far as the algorithm is concerned, you are actually boosting a video whenever you hit the dislike button. And it doesn't matter how nasty your comment is a comment is a comment. Negative engagement spends just as well as positive engagement. As far as YouTube is concerned, this is something that people are interacting with, are engaged with. That means we can charge the advertisers more to run ads on it because look how engaged people are. Oh, but they hate it. Who cares? We got their eyeballs. That's worth money. So, as I said, I was seeing a lot on my shorts. Now, most of them were on the shorts that I would have kind of expected to see some nasty pushback on, i.e. ones that I did talking about, say, J.K. Rowling or anything related to that. Disagreeing with pretty much anything she says about gender because, you know, it's all wrong. But we're not going to get into that here right now. But my point being, nasty comments on that, I kind of expect. It was throwing me off that they were still coming like weeks or months after the short went up. That struck me as a little odd. And my initial thought, I wondered, like, has this video been passed around in turf spaces somewhere? Like on some turf forum? But it wasn't a mass pile-on. It was a drip feed. I'd get a couple a day and then maybe go quiet for a few days. Then I get another 5. It was weird. Then it all clicked in my head when I put a short up with my thoughts on the recent She-Hulk trailer. I was flooded with comments from people who thought it was clever to claim that I looked like She-Hulk. I think they were trying to say I looked mannish. Have you seen She-Hulk in the comics? That's not an insult, and it's actually very funny to me that they thought it was. But they clearly meant it as such. But more revealing to me were how many people who gave me variations of, what am I looking at? What the hell is this? Why is this on my feed? These were clearly from people who didn't know my channel and had never seen anything from me. As is also evidenced by the fact that I was seeing these comments at all, because I make very liberal use of the hide commenter function, which once I activate that, it doesn't actually stop you from leaving a comment, but no one will ever see it. I won't see it and it's not visible to anybody. And I use that feature a lot. It's basically like blocking, except it doesn't actually prevent people from being able to see your channel. They can still see your channel. They just can't meaningfully interact with it anymore. I use that a lot. So these weren't people who like knew my stuff and suddenly this is what made them snap and get nasty at me. The algorithm being used for shorts pushed me in front of the eyes of people who are not okay seeing a trans or gender nonconforming person. And it's been kind of frustrating because as far as numbers go, there are times that my shorts are more successful than my videos. So YouTube is theoretically rewarding me with more views and more interactions, but they're rewarding me by punishing me and pushing my face in front of people who are going to hurl insults at it. My standard like to dislike ratios on most videos is over 90%. I'm not going to say it never gets lower than that. There are a few times where I've gotten on the wrong side of some fandoms where I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, who did I annoy? Where it's got down into 70s, but like that's not very common. The dislike ratio on these shorts, yeah, that is not typical. And it happens relatively reliably on the shorts. Again, that's not actually a reason for me to stop using the shorts format. As I said, any engagement is engagement. And even a mountain of dislikes pushes it further and further, showing it to more and more people who want to insult me. YouTube, when you set out to try and replicate TikTok, I don't know if you properly realized all the problems that you were going to port over, or maybe you knew and you didn't care. But it was a revelation that hit me when I really stopped and thought about why the She-Hulk video in particular. And now that I've sorted it out, I kind of needed to cleanse myself of it. YouTube, trying to be everything it can, every video format it can possibly be, and the shorts format, which I like well enough and I make use of. Boy, does it kind of make my day a little bit more irritating, though, because of how the algorithm pushes it forward and how those feeds, the shorts feed, is more likely to push people in front of you that you haven't seen before than apparently your main recommendations are. Because you know how rare it is for new people to see that stuff from me? Ha 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 ha. Yeah. So that's my, I don't know how long has it been? 2 years? I don't know. My semi-annual, biannual, something, complaining about YouTube. I think it's been a while. I was overdue for this. What are your thoughts on any of this nonsense? Have you encountered any similar things if you yourself are a YouTube creator? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. I mentioned this is my living. Patreon is what really enables that. I do make money off of YouTube, but I couldn't live off that alone. And so without the Patreon help, I couldn't be doing this right now. Not as my living, not as my full-time job. But even if you can't support me that way, there's also memberships here. There's links to merchandise. I have books for sale, etc., etc., etc. Even if you aren't able to do that, like, share, and subscribe, help me out. Like I said, all engagement does help. Even hit the dislike if you feel like it. What the heck? Nah, don't. People will. Just because they said, oh, you said I could. Whatever. Do whatever you want. Because what I really want you to remember is that you are beautiful. You are valid. And you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. All right. I've got thanks to give for my Patreon supporters. Robin Moore, Zubin Fala, Tarak, The Thing That Goes Doink in the Anime, Oliver B., Linda Walters, Emu Delki, Leotha Boyd, TT, Fernobulax the Poodle, Zach, Idolin, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Toku BL Huvian, Adam RDL Taylor, Shane Ross, Shayla Gourlay, and Brendan LaRose. The Rats and I thank you.